Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports. I am your host, Jedi Master Fox. We could call me this week. I got the robes on, so I feel like I could throw myself a master title. And along with me is my Padawan Clem. I say that because you're in a hoodie this week.
Yeah, I'll throw the hood on for you. And let's be honest, like I can't even say the Emperor's full name, so I'm a Padawan. I'm still learning the ways of the Force. So there we go.
There you go. Oh, there you go. You look like you could be like you're like a High Republic Padawan. It's like, oh, they wore hoods back then.
Yes, or someone like at Hoth who's like manning a battle station, essentially.
We got to get you just that one braid. Just, come down Padawan style.
Imagine that. I shave the head and I just have one long braid. It's like having like
a rat tail.
Yeah, or a Coke pinky finger. It's like all the other nails are clipped. And then
shout out Carrie Fisher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. We are here to recap the Acolyte episode 3. The episode title was Destiny. Did you notice anything about the episode title, the little thing they're doing there, Clem?
So I didn't even know that was the name of the episode. So I was about to say, So I had no clue.
So episode 1 was titled Lost/Found. Episode 2 was Revenge/Justice. But episode 3, because the twins are together, is just titled Destiny.
All right. I appreciate those fun little quirks. I like little creative things like that. So I can get down with that.
I do as well. So I saw that. I was like, all right, they're playing with it. And it's also directed by a South Korean director named Ko Ganada. And he made an A24 movie in 2021 called After Yang that people loved. I didn't see it. It was Colin Farrell starred in it. He's also making a movie that comes out next year with Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. So I feel like this is a name that you're going to start hearing more often.
He's a Colin Farrell guy, huh? I honestly didn't know Colin Farrell was still doing stuff. Good for him. Good for this director. I'm more of a Before Yang guy, personally. See, that's a little bad for you.
That's good. Colin Farrell's got The Penguin coming out in September.
That's right.
They just announced that that's actually coming out, which is going to be good for the basement because I feel like September is kind of like we thought it was going to be our dead zone with all the shows that we're recapping this summer coming to an end.
And Marvel's like, yep, we're good with Deadpool. We're good with that, essentially.
Yeah.
So we're going to be scraping by a little bit. So, okay, I can live with that. And, Bob, when it comes to Batman material, Bob's going to be geeking out. It'll be like Star Wars before the sequel trilogy, kind of like flattens you out a little bit. It's going to be just hype.
Yeah, I'm really, and like we mentioned when we talked about the trailer, it just looks like The Sopranos. So they're like, it's the Penguin, but he's Tony Soprano. What's not to love about that? I'm very in on that. But this episode is all backstory. It takes place 16 years prior to the events of episodes 1 and 2. We knew this going in. Ken Jack gave us the heads up, like, hey guys, I saw the first 4 screeners. Episode 3 is probably the weakest because it focuses on flashbacks. A lot of child actors, or maybe not a lot. One that's playing 2 roles, but I think it is the weakest of the 3 so far. I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. There was some interesting lore stuff and in-universe stuff where I was like, okay, that's like a cool thing to dive into, but they kind of like half dove into everything. It was a flashback reveal episode that didn't reveal anything really. So it's like, I'm a little afraid already that this is one of 2 flashback episodes, and we're going to get an entire flashback episode from May's perspective.
And I wonder if that's going to be the next episode or down the road. I feel like we might get a little more present day and then go back and fill it. You're going to keep filling in the puzzle pieces about that night along with whatever's going on in present day. I'll just say this. I think if they had done the 3 episode debut like they did with Andor, and this was like the last thing we saw, I think I would have had a bad taste in my mouth, and all the good from the first 2 episodes that we talked about on our last episode would have probably been like, I wouldn't say gone, but watered down a little bit. I think there would have been I can sense there's some more gripes today than there were last week. So I think
definitely. Did you hate it though? Like I didn't hate it actively. I was just kind of like, I don't know, a little bored by it. I think it was the longest of the 3. And I don't know if we needed to spend like an entire episode with the flashback. Like maybe I would have liked bits and pieces of it sprinkled throughout.
Yeah. Whatever I always like seeing the Jedi. The older stuff is always fun and you're kind of like learning. And then, but like when the witches are doing their thing, I'm like, I don't know if it's something I don't know about, and all the other like diehard Star Wars people who've seen all the cartoons and everything are like, oh yeah, this is the fucking Night Sisters or whatever. Or if it's just completely new, it sounds like it's new. Yeah, not great. I'm also realizing that I'm half, because we're recording in the morning. I'm almost like, this is the May side of me, the dark side, and this is
Yeah,
the ocean side. I just have the sun cutting me in half here, so we're gonna turn the blinds up so we don't have. I
it's
don't want evil. I don't want
cinematic
evil Clem
lighting,
coming out during this. I don't know what that guy's capable of saying on a podcast.
That's not the white boy Yoda version of Clem. That's like the white boy Vader version. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. I also feel like I've come to a realization maybe over the past couple weeks talking about this show. I did Lights Camera Barstool, talked about it with Clemmer and Ken Jack and Robbie Goochman. I've come to this realization that not all Star Wars is special anymore. And like it used to be that way, where like when they started making The Force Awakens, the energy from the behind the scenes footage was like, we're making a Star Wars movie. Like, can you fucking believe we're making Star Wars right now? I don't know if everyone has that perspective coming at it now that we have television shows, this, that, the next thing, animated this, whatever. I think it's okay that not all Star Wars is special anymore. Like I have said it before, I'll say it again. I would rather have a bunch of average Star Wars products than no Star Wars products, like new stuff, new shows and stuff going forward. I would rather them be average than not exist at all. I like expanding the universe and having more options. I feel like sometimes they swing and miss. Sometimes you get the Vader scene in Rogue One or the Luthen I sleep with ghosts rant in Andor, or you get Baby Yoda, who is friggin' he's brought Star Wars fans together again. I understand the people that still want Star Wars to be special and would rather no products than average products. Like either you bring me like your A game or you bring me nothing. It's a given poll, and I feel like you're either on one side of the fence or the other. And I don't know if you're ever going to be able to get someone from one side of the fence to the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And I think I saw a comment about this on Reddit once where it was like, it's crazy it was the person was saying that they're probably a little older. And they were saying, it's crazy to me that like I would drive 2 towns away just for the chance to get like a Star Wars collectible glass. And then telling that kid, down the road, there's going to be Star Wars stuff on your TV that people be like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to watch it. But I think it's a twofold thing. I think one, let's be honest, there have been like even the biggest fucking Star Wars diehard has to admit there's just been bumps in the road along the way.
Oh,
Whether we've talked prequel, sequel, like Solo, we talk, different shows that have been on Disney Plus. If you think everything's a 10, God bless you. You're going to think everything's a 10. But I think there have been hiccups. So it's like along the way, it's like they basically tarnished. I don't want to say tarnished, but you weren't going to get home runs every single time after maybe the original trilogy. And then like the world we live in now, there's just so much shit. It's like you're just not going to be like Star Wars day one, let's rock, along with, obviously the bumps in the road. So at this point, it's like, yeah, take your cuts, take your swings. To be fully honest, I probably wouldn't be watching as much stuff if we didn't have a full blown podcast about this stuff. And then I would probably go in after people said, hey, this is a good one, check it out. I'd probably watch The Mandalorian on my own without waiting first, but maybe Andor or even this one, especially if you see the trailer, like, I don't know if this one's really for me, guys. So that is a fair point you make, Robbie. I like the way you're thinking with that.
And it's tough too, because I appreciate the 9 p.m. Tuesday night drop, but I don't know if the Acolyte is like the appointment television one where you want to like, you know what I'm saying? Where like the Mandalorian, people would be watching that the second it came out. Like things are going to be spoiled. We have to watch it. This one, I think I watched it maybe 9:30 or 9:45. Like I'm still watching it the night it comes out, pretty close to release date, but there's not yet part of me where like this is appointment, sit down at exactly 8:59 and start refreshing your Disney Plus because you need to get to the next episode. Now, Ken Jack has said episode 4 is pretty good, and he's like the cliffhanger at the end of episode 4 is fantastic. He says after next week's episode, a lot of people are going to be like more in on the mystery and everything, which I love. I'm kind of still in on the mystery itself because we didn't get much paid off in this episode. Like they gave us little nuggets here and there, but I mean, at the end of episode 2, I was like excited to see my guy Kel Naka fuck up, the scavengers or whatever. None of it. Not even a little hint at the end of this episode. So it's like flashback episodes are always tough in any show. We talk about the flashback to tank all the time. You got to really nail them. And if they're just okay, they feel like they're dragging the show a little bit.
Yeah, and you said it. You can't just tickle our balls with a Jedi Wookiee and then be like, oh yeah, and now you're not getting him in the next episode, because then you get blue balls, which are a real thing. I still can't believe that people at this company say blue balls are not a real thing. God bless them. That means they never had blue balls. As a one-time blue ball survivor, they are real, and they are
just once.
horrendous. Thankfully, once I'll never go through that again. If I ever have blue balls again, you will never see me because I will be dead. That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, they gave us Kelnaka in this episode, but he was just fixing a ship. That was it.
Yeah, we weren't getting badass Kanaka fighting the bad guys that we saw, they
raking guns.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, I have to admit, at the same point, if they don't give us that scene, we just hear this Wookiee Jedi and that's it. It did kind of like get the flutters going. So Kenjack, hopefully, episode 4, we're getting that, the continuation of that scene and some cool shit. My guy Saul was in the episode, though. That's all I know.
He was pretty good in the episode. He got a nice haircut in the episode in the flashback. Do you think Kelnaka is going to go straight for the arm rip, or do you think that's a Chewbacca thing? Is that some Chewbacca's like his signature move, or is that like a Wookiee's? That's how they fight.
They all got it in the bag. It's like UFC. It's like everyone can throw the ankle lock submission, everyone can ground and pound, but just at different. Like Chewbacca, that's probably his go-to move. When you're able to wield the Force, I'm sure there's different ways, but that would be sweet if we got an arm rip. I would geek out about an arm rip.
That'd be really good. And this makes me want like a UFC style Star Wars fighting game, where actually Revenge of the Sith, the video game they made to follow the storyline of the movie. It had a mini game mode that was like a side scroller Mortal Kombat Street Fighter style, like fighting game. And you could just select Jedi. It was fucking awesome. Me and my cousin Kenny, we played that hours worth of that and Lego Star Wars, of course. I remember like unlocking Grievous in the first Lego Star Wars. He was so many coins. So we just fucking played free play over and over and over again. Great memories from that summer. And also the new Star Wars video game, Star Wars Outlaws, comes out in fucking 10 weeks, Clem. This game, I thought this was like 2026, 2027. It comes out at the end of August. It's Star Wars GTA. Like they just stole the GTA cop system for stormtroopers. They're putting AT-ATs in the game. I'm literally on the market for a PS5 right now. I'm just checking sales. I'm probably going to buy one this week. Seriously.
Is it PlayStation exclusive?
No, but people are saying if you go next gen, the PS5 is apparently much better than the Xbox Series X, I think it's called. And it has the Spider-Man games. So I want the Spider-Man ones too.
Hey, come on, pal. I got the PS5 here. Come on. The orders are good. Sony's still cranking out hits. So we'll be happy to have you, Bob. I had no idea this game was a thing. And I didn't know, I heard people talk about it. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you said GTA Star Wars. I go, now that's something I would be very interested in. I'll probably still wait for the reviews just in case. Is it EA? Is it EA?
No, it's Ubisoft.
Okay, I'll fuck with Ubisoft, actually. You ever play Rayman growing up?
No, I don't think so.
It's kind of like a side scroller. It's AJ saw it, somehow got a YouTube clip, and he plays it, and it's like an older game from the 90s side scroller. It is so much fucking fun. So many just intricacies of this is just a really well-made game. So Ubisoft, I was like, oh shit, I've never known anything about them. They crank out hits. So if it's not EA and they're going to try to rob you of all the microtransactions, I'm excited. I'll still wait for your review. But you kind of what you were getting at before. There was a time where Star Wars video game came out, everyone was excited, and then I do think they kind of did flood the market. And it's like you have some hits, you have some big misses, and then it's just not special anymore. You don't know what's going to be good, what's not going to be good. And I do think the shows and the movies kind of mirrored the video games in that sense, right? Where
yeah,
it's
the EA license fucked the video games because they had the exclusive rights for 10 years, and they didn't really do much with it. I think they put out 2 Battlefront games. That's it. And since we've gotten the Fallen Order games, which people absolutely love. I haven't played the second one of that, so that'll be another PS5 purchase. The Fallen Order games, the new Outlaw games, Lego Star Wars. Since the EA licenses run out, I feel like we're starting to get back to that. Video games are a great platform to expand this universe and try new things and try wacky things that might not work in a live action show, like witch ceremonies and stuff like that. But we can get into the Acolyte. It opens on a beautiful yellow bunta tree. May's fucking with butterflies. Kind of fucked up. This is the Star Wars version of burning ants with a magnifying glass, kinda. The butterflies look cool. They look friendly. She's just tearing them apart. What the fuck? I mean, psychopath, obviously, but what the fuck?
We learn a lot about May this episode, and it's not like, everything was good before whatever happened, those events, and then she became like this evil person. There's clearly the good twin and the bad twin, very clearly.
Yeah.
I first thought they were little hummingbirds. I'm like, oh, a little hummingbird. I'm a bird guy, and then they were like, then I didn't know if they were butterflies. Then I'm like, are they little mini dragons? So whatever they were cool. And fucking with them, what are we doing here? Also, speaking of birds, a lot of people tell me, and I've been saying it, like, you're washed when you become a bird guy, as I have become. Folks, there's one level after bird person that makes you washed. And it's when you really get excited about different trees and plants. And I'll tell you, I've reached that part as well. I had a dogwood in my backyard that we loved. It would bloom. We go crazy. Unfortunately, a storm killed it. But it's like every time I'm at Costco now, I'm picking up some big old plants for the yard. We got some beautiful hydrangeas coming. And I'm looking at this yellow tree. I'm like, that's a good looking tree right there. I don't know if it's evil or good, but I fuck with that tree. So the botanist, whatever it is, that's the final level of wash. Which, by the way, Mama Fox got herself a bird camera from you for Mother's Day, right?
That was, my Mother's Day present to her was your bird camera, not the one from your backyard. Just I bought the same one.
Just took it out of my yard and gave it to her.
I have the login for it. We check it, but I'll tell you what, that's in where she lives down the shore, the squirrels are just killing her. Like the squirrels come in 24/7 and they don't mind the siren. We put the siren on, we put the light on. They're just eating the bird feed. They don't care.
I'm going to give you the squirrel. It's a little mix. It's a hot mix. Birds don't have heat receptors in their mouth in terms of spices. So it's a spicy sauce. You have to wear gloves when you put it together because it's one of those you don't want to get in your eyes. It's wow. what's the hot stuff? Hot things or whatever.
Hot ones.
It's basically that. And squirrels, they're mammals. They cannot fuck with the stuff. We put that in mind. Wow. Haven't had a squirrel problem since. It jumped up once, smelt it, and booked.
Wow. All right. Good to know. I'm going to tell
Mama
Fox
fact.
We got a spicy
You're learning on the basement today.
All right. The tree that you're saying, I don't know if it's good or bad. It is poison because they use the poison of the Bunta tree to kill Master Torben in episode 2. Mm-hmm. And also the mom or one of the moms is like very upset that they're even playing out there. I don't think that has as much to do with the tree, though. I think they just want the kids not to be seen by the Jedi and stuff like that. But they're discussing their ascension ceremony later in the day. And they recite this like poem that they said earlier, born as one, together as two. Watching it under the context of knowing the episode, it kind of sounds like a spell. Like the way they say it kind of sounds like a witch spell, like something you would say as you're fucking brewing in a big pot. So that was interesting. And like I said, Mother Coral yells at them for being out there in an unsafe area because Sol is like watching from behind a tree. Mother Coral is a Zabrak, like Darth Maul. She's got the horns coming out. I think it's cool to see Zabrak. They're like one of my favorite aliens to pop up because usually they're up to no good. So usually you have to look at them like, you look like the devil. So we're going to be looking at you like you're the devil.
Okay. I'm happy you said that first because in my notes here, it says, is it racist to say that Mother Corella sucks for looking like Darth Maul? I figure this species is probably, not prevalent, but you've seen them before. And I imagine devil horns, they're usually into some shit. I'm not saying they can't be Jedi. I'm not saying they can't just be normal, nice, regular people. I'm just saying she was instantly thrown on the sus list for better or worse. I don't want to get canceled here. Yeah. I don't want Barstool to get in trouble. Front page of the fucking New York Times saying the Basement Boys were calling Kirill bad people just because they had
Zabrak.
I watched The Phantom Menace. That dude was a meme. That guy had fucking a black smile. I've never even seen a black smile before.
The only person that looks like the devil that we like in this podcast is Nightcrawler.
Yes, we fuck with Nightcrawler big time.
We fuck with him.
And he has swords too. It's like the double two.
Oh yeah, three of them.
Two negatives make a positive. I don't get it. Also, awesome looking planet. That was my biggest takeaway as I'm watching this thing and I'm just looking for good things to say. I'm like, we need more of this. Just keep giving us new planets, different architecture, just cool shit. You don't have to do that much. You just get creative and let your mind wander. It's just I guess I'm just very sick of the desert planets from the past, and it's like I feel like we've been keeping the momentum rolling, so I'm very happy.
I agree. I had a note that I really liked Brendok, the fact that it's a forest planet that doesn't really look like Endor. Boom, you succeeded in that. You won. When they get back to the town, they ask for some spice creams. I get that they're doing an ice cream thing with the kids there, but Spice is confusing in Star Wars. Spice is generally in Star Wars thought of as a drug, I think. Like Chewbacca and Han were fucking Walter White and Jesse. So I don't know why the kids are like, can I have spice creams? And they're like, you should know, not before the ceremony. And then their other mother comes in, Mother Anasaya, and is like, give the kids the spice creams. They're sweet kids. They deserve the sweet treats. Obviously, that's the mom they like more.
So with spice creams, I was trying to figure out, do you think it tastes good or do you think it's gross?
Like, obviously, it tastes good to them, but I don't know. Like, I'm almost picturing like an ice cream bar, like with a popsicle, in it, covered in some kind of spice, covered in graham cracker dust or something.
Graham cracker dust. Okay.
Like maybe that's what it would be at Galaxy's Edge,
Yeah, exactly. It's probably what they're gonna. They're like, we have to throw that was like number one on the to-do list for this series. It's like, you must make something called spice creams so we can sell it for $15.95 at Galaxy's
I'd buy
Edge.
It. Yeah, I'd buy it and make an Instagram food review.
Lemmings. It's exactly what we would do. But there is a chance though. I like what you're thinking. Like, we're like, oh wow, like I can't believe they let the kids eat that. It's like, these are witches. It would be like, you're in a crack den. It's like these kids are like, you have these 8-year-olds just smoking cigarettes. It's like, there's no fucking rules when you're being raised by witches. So this could just be like they're just drinking, basically.
Yeah, maybe they're getting a little high. Yeah. And Mother Kirill is very worried about the girls running away, and it sounds like there's more to them than we know, because she says, like, right up front, these girls are not normal children. So it feels like she's less worried about them running off to this tree and eating a poison plant than she is like people seeing them. It seems like they're hidden children. And the twins have this force wielding training session with their mom. They call the force the thread. This is actually one of the things about the episode I liked, is seeing how a different culture would interpret the force and have a different take on it. And they're like, the Jedi think it's the force. We realize it's the thread, and it goes through all people, and you could pull on the thread. You could tug on the thread. It's also clearly a setup for them using the power of 2 during the finale, when they're like not paying attention to their mom being like, look, you can combine the power of 2, the power of 2. They're going to like yell that in the finale. It's going to be a nice little corny moment, but whatever. We'll get through it. I don't want to like shit on child acting, not shitting on the kid or the kids. I don't know if it's real twins or just one. I think it's just one. The back and forth and them fighting, and it just gave off Phantom Menace vibes in not the best way. And there's a little bit of that throughout the episode in the twins butting heads. And I understand it might be like realistic. Like, this is probably how twins would butt heads and be annoying in that session. It was just a little annoying to watch from my perspective.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if it was just a parent in me whose like blood pressure was rising as I saw them like taking the ball from each other, elbowing each other. Stop it. But I'll tell you, and I'm sure all the listeners out there that have kids will agree, there is nothing that will piss you off more than a parent than when your kids fight. It's the opposite. When your kids get along, it honestly is like the best feeling in the world. You just watch them play, it like brings a joy in that you cannot literally, you'd have to eat 7 spice creams to feel that good inside. So it's great when they're playing together, but when they're just fighting, there's a part of me, Robbie. I said this the other day at a picnic we were at. There's a part of me that I never knew I had this side of me, the yelling I can do. And all the parents are like, me too. I go to this dark place, and only my own kids can bring it out of me. So I do understand. So the fact you're agreeing with this, and you are, what do they call it? A furry dad?
Oh, like a dog dad. I wouldn't say furry.
Yeah,
furry I associate with, like, I think Entourage, like me in the turtle suit.
But I think we can all agree the child acting in this, it's tough. It's tough because it's like, tough. I'm sure you can find actors that could nail it, but it's not probably easy to do. But it's also
dialogue. Like, the writing isn't the best, and the writing is just good enough to make it through. And I'm not cringing at all the lines, but there's a lot of what we talked about last week in this episode too, where it's like, no, you can't do that, please. Well, okay. Like, the arguments are so surface level, and that's part of the thing that, like, I like this stuff where they're diving into lore stuff and kind of politics and how it would work with the different factions and how maybe the Jedi don't like the witches and that stuff. But everything is just scratching the surface of what you want them to get into. Like, they're getting into a bunch of different stuff. I would rather them pick maybe just like the one conflict and really dive into it and maybe get a little deep on it, but they don't fully do that. And also, they plant a seed early on in the scene where Mother Kirill looks at the core or the reactor of their base and their home, and it's starting to spark. And she looks at it like something's up with that. And I think later on, something is clearly up with that. Osha doesn't want to do the ascension ceremony. She doesn't want to be a witch. May does. They're going back and forth. Interesting how they portrayed like the evil one was the one who listened to their parents and just wanted to like do everything that they were supposed to do, and the rebellious one is the good one. So I thought that was a cool dynamic that they kind of pushed forward there.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, a little different. Also, when you said like I didn't know I had this side of me, I thought you were gonna say like Anakin was right for what he did on that Jedi temple in that room with the younglings.
Oh, we're not gonna go there.
I thought you were going there. I was like, oh my God, Clem.
What would you do if I just started calling the Force the thread for now on the show in real life when we're just talking?
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't love
it. The only way I'll tell you right now, I would never call it the thread unless when that show comes out, I forgot the name of it, and my guy Darth Jar Jar goes, Misa gonna use the thread on you, then I would have to use the thread for now on. Because like whatever Darth Jar Jar says,
the galaxy, was it? The Lego show? Yeah. Mother Anasaya makes them hold hands, and she says they're special. Yet again, she's like, you girls are special, and this world, this galaxy isn't going to welcome women with abilities like you. It's right on the line of being a little too heavy-handed for like, we know the message you're pushing there. Nice message that you're pushing, but like, this is Star Wars. You got to make it a little Star Wars-y before you put it out there, I feel like. But they argue again as they're getting prepped for the ascension ceremony, as they're getting their hair done. Another arguing scene where like, you could have cut this. I think this might have been the longest episode. You could have cut this one.
Yes.
And then you get the ceremony itself. The witches start dancing on the edge of a cliff. Cool looking, like the way it's shot in darkness, and there's like almost like a cloudy storm going on. The chant they're doing though is just this church ass chant where they're like, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. It's like, oh God, this is so churchy. It just reminds me of being in church, which personally, I understand there's like religion in Star Wars, and this kind of is one. I just don't want to be reminded of being in church when I'm watching Star Wars.
I say cult-like vibes too, because you're dealing with some dark shit, and you're not a full-grown congregation of people. It feels like these people are hiding their religion from everyone more than anything.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
Well, they say they were forced into hiding, and they haven't performed this ceremony since. Kind of sounds like maybe the Jedi could have been the ones or had to do something with forcing them into hiding. But they were like, we were blessed with a miracle, the miracle of life, which at this point in the episode kind of confirms, they confirm it later on to the Jedi, but it confirms that these kids were kind of like an immaculate conception. They don't have a father, and they tell the Jedi that later on, but it's very interesting, and I kind of like where they're going with that as well. Some people are like, this breaks the lore. Anakin Skywalker is the one and only prophecy. He should be the only. And it's like that. I still think that was a little different. They might be connecting it, but like, I don't think it fucking breaks Anakin. I think there could be more than one immaculate fucking conception.
It's right there in front of us, guys, and I can't believe no one has hit on this yet. I haven't seen any comments on this. It's obvious these kids were not immaculate conceptions. You don't know it?
No.
These twins were not miracles. They're daughters of the Emperor. The Emperor is behind all this.
I'm not going to say the Emperor is behind all this, but I have a theory that I'm going to read later on, and he's involved. So we'll get that.
Of course.
But they do the chant. Mother Anasaya puts that marking on May's head. And right before Osha is about to get it, she kind of hesitates, and the ceremony is interrupted by the Jedi. It's Master Indara, her Padawan Torben, who looks his appropriate age at this point. Like they made him look old in the last episode by just putting a beard and a scar on him.
That's when I was like, oh, that's Tommen. I actually knew that was Tommen.
He looked normal. Like he just got like normal hair. He's got a Padawan braid. It's like, I don't know. You could have just made him Tommen and cast someone older as him later on.
The other version of him looks like Rickety Cricket looking back now. Like this is pre-Rickety Cricket. That's post-Rickety Cricket.
Also, before we go any further, we're about halfway through the episode. Let's remind everyone about one of our favorite sponsors. That is Game Time. I just looked. Next week, there's a couple baseball games going on in New York City. If you're like Clem and you're a Mets fan, you can go to see the Padres play the Mets Hawaiian Shirt Day at Citi Field. $20 get you in the building. If you're a Yankees fan like me, on Tuesday, 6/18, June 18th, you could see the Orioles play the Yankees for $29. Amazing prices. Game Time is the best for that. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. And Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to sports, music, comedy, theater. We've been talking about that Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks show, Soldier Field in Chicago. A bunch of the Barstool crew is going to that. You could buy tickets to that on Game Time as well. It's, I mean, the best ticket site on the internet, bar none. Easy to use. We've used it for years at this point. They've been sponsoring the show for years. You can't go wrong with Game Time. Am I right, Clem?
Game Time's blowing up. See it in the Google results as well now. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's keep this. I always love when you just see an app just like grow huge as, you know, they're sponsoring the pod. So it's huge.
And a good one, too.
Yes.
Like an app that deserves to grow. It's actually as easy to use as we're pitching.
Exactly. It's incredible. Clemmer heard about this concert. That's all he talked about. We were at the Barstool the Ballpark on Saturday, and he's like, "We got to go to this. I'm so into this." You know, Clemmer, when he gets really excited. Yeah. So, Stevie Nicks, and we'll be going thanks to Game Time for some good prices.
So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now back into the Acolyte. When the Jedi arrive, the witches try to deny the existence of the children, but Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, can literally just see the kids. They're like, there's no children here. And Kelnaka goes, I think I see two. And like one walks out and they're like, all right, can we see your sister? The other one walks out. And this is interesting. The witches are like, don't take our children. And Sol goes, the Jedi don't take children. Check out this lightsaber. Do you want to know how you get one? And it's like, whoa. This girl's like 6 years old. You could say like, I'm not taking this kid. The kid's consenting to it. You're literally showing the kids the coolest thing in the galaxy. Being like, you want this? Come with me. That it's literally, I mean, you could be like a kidnapper being like, I didn't take the kid. They wanted the candy. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck?
The only thing separating the Jedi from the dudes in the ice cream trucks out of their van is the robes. And that, some of those dudes probably wear robes too. I bet those guys wear robes as well. They may not look like the one you're wearing. Tough look for the Jedi. You could take my kids right now with like a lightsaber toy. They would be like, all right, I'll just like leave my family for you. Let alone a real one that turns on, glows, and can cut shit. Tough look. Tough look. Jedi here.
And also, obviously, the hypocrisy in them shutting down the ceremony because they're like, you can't indoctrinate kids to your religion. Come to the Jedi. It's like you're literally doing the exact same thing.
It's Spider-Man meme. It's hypocrisy. I will say this. A lot of my takes about the Jedi from the prequels are just aging like fine wine right now. And I'm starting to feel like we fill in all the missing equations from this show all the way to Phantom Menace. By the end, like the Jedi might literally be the bad guys in everyone's eyes.
There is part of me too, like as a huge Star Wars Jedi fan, where I'm like, there's been too many shows at this point that are just shitting on the Jedi. Like every show is just like how the Jedi failed. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm ready for, I know Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, and then he played Master something. I forget his name in The Mandalorian. Yeah. He saved Baby Yoda. He's like, my idea is just take my Jedi and make him John Wick. He's like, just make a whole movie where I just mow people down. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I think you should greenlight that. I want to see a Jedi that's good and just John Wick the whole time. Maybe the Mandalorian movie will kind of fill that void. I know he's not a Jedi, but he's going to be whipping that darksaber around maybe. Well, maybe. And Bo-Katan's now. We'll see. But
what would you do if Baby Yoda became that John Wick? He's just a murdering motherfucker. His little green skin just splattered with other people's bloods.
Yeah. But Torben is locked in a spell. They kind of threaten him. Obviously, the relationship is bad. Kind of feels like the police showing up at like a known drug dealer's house. where like they've had these interactions in the past, but they don't have enough evidence to take him into the station. So it's like, you leave us the fuck alone and we'll threaten you back. Corel just wants to kill the Jedi right away. And she says, what happens when they find out how the twins were created? And then this old ass alien lady walks over and is like, they should just fail the Jedi test on purpose. Which, like, come on, old ass alien lady. Like, you think we didn't think of that? But that is the plan they go with.
Old ass alien lady. I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to be accused of ageism. I was like, just shut up, lady. Just shut up.
She's, I did my tier list, you know, like last week, my character tier list. She goes immediately into the just chill out section. Like, just chill the fuck out. All right. Like, you're old. You're not going to be around much longer. You just enjoy your life over there. You don't got to problem solve.
I know it probably wouldn't work out. She probably would be dead, but we'll just say she with her magic power, she could stay alive forever. Let's CGI her and replace her with Akbar when he gets killed. In which one did he kill in? Was that Skywalker?
Last Skywalker? Jedi.
That was Last Jedi. He got killed. What a bad, so many bad decisions. That movie.
I love The Last Jedi. I love it. I don't like that decision. I just don't. And like part of me understands it's because the actor died during filming, but it's like, you didn't have to kill the character off. You can like, he can just still be in the background of snes, and we can be like, oh, Akbar was there when they won the war again. Like, yeah, I didn't like.
It's like decision. When Jonathan Majors got arrested. It's like, oh my god, you can't have a Kang that's a different person. The guy's a fish. He's a fish alien.
He's a fish. He's literally a fish. Yeah. Don't love that decision.
Also, the line, I love the line where it's like, who's more important to the kids, the person that carried the twins or the one that created the twins? And I once did say to my wife, I was like, technically, kids were in me first. It starts with the man. And it's like, I was very smart not to push that joke, because it's like,
that don't fly.
Really talk about this, the person who was in hell for basically 10 months and then like the months after giving birth to the kids. So be very careful how you proceed with that. That woman was crazy for even like mention. I don't know what kind of voodoo you have. Do not say that to the woman that carried kids for even a day, let alone months.
Another one that just chill out. Like, just chill out. So many characters, I just need soul or someone to like put their hand on their shoulder and say, just chill out.
Chill out.
There's this one line that rides the line of being a little too much without going overboard. This is about power and who is allowed to use it. I thought that was pretty good. I think that's what the whole show is about, and a lot of what the Star Wars universe is about. Another one where it just rides the line of like, you're pulling back the curtain for the audience and telling them what the show is about, like looking down the barrel of the camera and be like, you're understanding this, right? But again, I need to remind myself, this is a young adult show. This is a show made with kids and teenagers in mind, I think. And when it comes down to that, maybe you do need to pull back the curtain and remind them, hey, this is what Star Wars is about, remember? But the twins begin their Jedi testing. Osha fails on purpose. My big takeaway from this, though, if this is 100 years before the Phantom Menace, you're telling me the technology has not advanced at all? This is the test they run on young Annie when he's like, it's a spaceship, it's a this, and he's just like reading what's on the iPad. The graphics haven't even improved in the last 100 years, or maybe 116 years, depending on, I don't know how the timeline works with that, but it's the same shit they've always been using. And she fails on purpose, but then passes when they're like, hey, why don't you try passing? And she's like, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of silly. This just took me back to the guessing the object scene from Ghostbusters when the cute girl and the nerdy guy are doing it, and he's getting some right and they're just buzzing him, and then Venkman's just giving the girl all A+ for everything she said. So shout out Ghostbusters, I guess. We're gonna make we'll say some nice things, because I feel like it's gonna get ugly at the end here, our takes on the show.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it feels sloppy or something, or put together weirdly. Mother Anasaya says, like, if you want to pull the thread, pull it. If you want to go be a Jedi, I'll give you permission. She tells her mom, yes, I do want to go be a Jedi. She basically word for word does the Anakin Shmi line where she's like, you're telling me I'm never going to see you ever again? And she's like, no. And they go off their separate ways or whatever. She has toys on her bed that kind of look like the ice foxes from Last Jedi. I don't know if they were, but I noted that could be an Easter egg. Then May runs in. She takes Osha's notebook. She's got this weird triangle notebook, which I laughed at. I was like, they just wanted to make a notebook, but they were like, we can't do a fucking notebook. We got to make it Star Wars. I don't know. Make it a triangle. Yeah. She takes it and she's like, I'm not going to let you leave. And she's like, what are you going to do? And she says, I'm going to kill you. And she like lights the notebook on fire and slams it. the child acting, as we mentioned, it's tough. The dialogue isn't great. Whenever you allow a kid to be a little creepy, though, I feel like it works like 10 out of 10 times. Just hearing a kid's voice be like, I'm going to kill you. I was a little unnerved. So I was like, all right, I'm a little disturbed by this baby child, this demon child. Osha crawls through the vents, John McClane style, to get out of the room when it's on fire. Both of them are caught underground. And then May tells Osha, this part I thought was very interesting. She's like, where's Mama? And she's like, she's dead. And then she says something like, they're both like, what have you done? What have you done? What have you done? Something went down that we didn't see in this moment. And we're going to see it when we get May's perspective of the story. I don't think May that quickly burnt everything down and killed all the witches, because we see the room with all the witches. They're dead. Soul is able to save Osha. We see all the dead witches burning and stuff. Another hint that something went down that we didn't see. When Osha wakes up on the ship, she's with the Jedi. Master Torben is there. And you see him in the background. It's blurry. He's got the scar on his face. And he didn't have it when they went to confront the witches. But he's fucked up clearly. Kelnaka's not there, which, as a Kelnaka guy, I got to admit is a little sus. But even more sus is your guy Soul blaming it all on May. She's like, what happened? Where's Mama? And he's like, your sister killed him. Your sister killed them all. And then he hugs her and has this look where you could tell he knows a little bit more went down there.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Soul came through yet again. We didn't touch on that. I noticed that he saved her life. I realized we fast forwarded.
I said he saved her. He saved one of the two. He went 500.
And also shout out to someone said our name is the Soldiers. That will be our Soul Hyper.
Soldiers is good.
I thought Soul Train could work, but I think Soldiers is even better. It's right there for us. It was just a tough sequence all around. It was the child acting, the way I don't know. It just the whole sequence. He
did like 4 endings to this episode too. That was weird. Yeah. Did you notice that they cut to black and then they woke up and then they cut to black and then they woke up? It was like Return of the King, like when they do that in Lord of the Rings. I never loved that. But you're back on Brendok. May's fine. She's looking for Osha, probably assuming she's dead. Again, something more went down. I think that's very clear. I hope they don't spend an entire flashback episode talking about that at some point throughout the season. I can see it being a cool reveal at the end. My theory on all of this is that the Jedi, at some point before the events of this episode, misinterpreted the witch magic for dark side force using, which may be a little bit of dark side force using. They cast the witches off. They make this type of magic illegal, and they start a conflict between the Jedi and the witches, because probably the Jedi like don't fully understand it. I would assume they don't even, it's not like they know about it and they're shutting it down before it becomes something bad. It's like the Jedi are ignorant. They don't fully understand it. They shut it down. This leads the witches to pair with the Sith, who we don't even know at this point. The Sith don't really even exist at this point in the timeline, I don't think. At least they haven't since like the Old Republic time. I don't even know if they were like the Sith or whatever. So I think they partner with the Sith and create together, using their powers, the twins. The Jedi are probably monitoring this because they've been monitoring the witches all along. They think this is bad. They think, oh no, how can we stop this, prevent it? When they arrive, I think Mother Kirill, the Zabrak, I think she attacks him right away. Behind everyone's back, I think she attacks the Jedi attack back, and then the Sith, all along, were in it for the Acolytes. So they were partnered with the witches just to get the babies, I think. They probably damaged the reactor in the first place, and while Mother Kirill is attacking the Jedi, and it looks like just the Jedi and the witches are fighting, they blow up the reactor, take out 2 birds with 1 stone, and they have their Acolyte. That's my prediction.
I will be shocked if anything else comes true now, because that sounds basically like right out of the Sith playbook too, right?
Yes, and they love taking babies and, using them in that way. I also think this could be a loop around way of getting to how Plagueis and Palpatine learned about creating babies and possibly created Anakin. It's still up in the air whether or not Anakin was created by Plagueis and Palpatine or in spite of Plagueis and Palpatine. In the Legends book about Plagueis, they said more or less that he could have been created by the Force in spite of them trying to create him. So it was like chicken or the egg type thing where it's like he was probably created because of them in one way or the other. Maybe the Acolyte is the backdoor way of explaining that, like the Bad Batch explained the cloning, or, you know, like they like doing with these new Star Wars shows, where it's like you think it's about one thing, but they kind of fill in the gaps on the rest of the universe. I don't know. Those are all my theories. I'm kind of like theoried out. I didn't have much further other than I think the Sith is behind it all to get the Acolytes in the first place, and they kind of created the witches, and maybe even Mother Kirill being Zabrak creates like the Dathomirian witches. Maybe she branches off and the Night Sisters are created by her or something like that.
Or the Emperor just did it all.
Or somehow Palpatine returns and yeah, he's been around since the beginning. It could always come back to that. There could be some world between worlds time travel shit. There could be some space whales returning. But we won't get into that this week.
Oh my God. Make my brain hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we got through episode 3. You know, it wasn't the best episode. I didn't think it was horrible. I saw some people say it was horrible. I was kind of just like, it was okay. It was a little boring. Next week, hopefully we're back. Ken Jack says we are. Ken Jack says after episode 4, more people are going to be invested in this series. And honestly, it's doing good numbers on Disney Plus. So maybe they know what they're doing with the young adult stuff.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that next time we get the flashback, whenever it may be, I'm hoping it's not as like clunky feeling again. Cause as Ken Jack, as a lot of people told us, it feels low budget. Sometimes it is by far not low budget. It's actually high budget. You would say.
We said that last week. We were like, yeah, it's a low budget Star Wars show. And everyone was like, they spent $180 to $200 million on this. It ain't low budget. And it's 4 hours worth of content or whatever. So it's kind of like 2 movies worth. Yeah, it ain't low budget, but sometimes it does certainly look it. There's a scene in this episode where I think Osha's looking out the window when they're like, why don't you want to be a Jedi? And it didn't look like Star Wars. It looked like a TV show, a sci-fi TV show or something. So yeah, that's definitely a little issue they got going for it. Maybe a big issue for some, especially being Star Wars was like the technologically advanced series for so long, but it is what it is. We'll get through it. We'll get through episode 4. We get the boys coming back tomorrow as we record this. So it'll be the first 3 episodes of the boys premiere. They also announced season 5, which this is season 4, but the next season, season 5, will be the final season. Good move. I think we're both on that side of like end the show when it's still good, and hopefully it still will be good by then. Also, when you have a show like this where it's Butcher and Homelander coming to a head, how long can you put that off before it's like, we got to have this come to a head?
There is a part of me that feels like 4 might have been the sweet spot, but we'll see what 4 has for us.
We'll see.
So, you don't want to drag it out too much. We've seen that.
They did say 5 was always the plan. So if they planned it out correctly, that's what, and it could be the director said 5 was always the plan. And, he's writing a 5th season as we speak. But we will do an episode on the first 3 episodes of that for sure. I think maybe at some point this weekend or early next week. Keep an eye on the channels. Make sure you're subscribed to everything.
House of the Dragon Sunday.
House of the Dragon Sunday as well. That's right. So come back live after House of the Dragon ends. We'll be back. We will be back in the wigs, the costumes. I'll be in Chicago for the dozen. It'll be fun.
It's on our video channels, on My Mom's Basement, like YouTube, Rumble, and then there's the Game of Stools podcast feed. So if you listen on podcast, get the podcast there. If you do on the video, do wherever we post a video.
Yep. All right. We'll talk to you this weekend, I guess. We'll talk to you this weekend.
Fun.